Hello guys and welcome to this video of me, Coach Reese. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. Slightly different video today and I'm joined by Gaz Lee. Gaz is a friend of mine and we've worked together at previous clubs. He's an incredibly good coach. So he's going to share with you his thoughts on analysis. So I'll hand over to Gaz and he's going to give a little bit of an introduction about himself. So the floor is yours, Gaz.
Thanks, Reese. Hi guys. As Reese said, I'm Gaz Lee. I'm currently studying my UEFA A licence with the Scottish FA, and I'm now currently based in Tres Cantos, which is just north of Madrid, where I'm coaching. My background has been, it's coming up to 14 years coaching experience now, working with primarily females, worked in the talent pathway, the RTCs, and various clubs in England for a decade as a manager, as a lead coach, as an assistant. And then more recently, in the past 3-4 years, went across to men's academies, working at York City. And now, like I say, I'm working with a juvenile category, which is 16 to 18, over here at Tres Cantos, who are in the 4th tier of Spanish football. So it's a nice range of experience, working from kids at grassroots, girls that have just recently made their full England debuts and scoring on it, and then experiencing a new culture, working with Spanish players that have developed through a different system, different kind of coaching style, and more importantly, kind of mastering the language over the past 14 months, which has been interesting. So hopefully this experience can give you a well-rounded guide to kind of what I look for in analysis at different levels.
So we'll get started on with the analysis stuff. So just talk us through your process when you are analysing a game, and we'll think about a game that you are in a position to pause. So it might be a game that you're watching on telly at the moment.
Yeah, I think certainly over here, I apologise for keep referring over here. While I'm watching the World Cup games, on our screens are popping up statistics now. I'm sure they do that on the terrestrial UK ones, and I find them quite interesting. I will be honest, Reese, I'm kind of the guy that sits on the fence with stats. I think as a coach you can either use them, and this is a great kind of quote from a friend of mine, Adam Gledhill. He said you can use stats as either a bullet or a shield. Now, the way we kind of went into it and the way he described it is, as a coach, you can use certainly the stats as a shield to protect yourself, protect your philosophy, to again protect players. You know, those players that need the arm around them, the one that need the encouragement rather than the direct approach. And the greatest example we spoke about was when Roberto Martinez, was in charge of Everton. Yeah. During that period, their possession stats were phenomenal, and you know his kind of arguments or testaments to it were, well, we're keeping the ball better, we're having more of the ball, but actually they weren't progressing anywhere. They weren't really doing anything with that possession. So he's used that as a shield. And then, like you say, you can flip it the other way and use it as a bullet, as a way of really kind of looking at, we're not doing this right, you're not doing that right. Or again, not always on the negative, as like, bang, we do this really well. So it might be, for example, you look at the Spain-Morocco game. Now, that's a sore subject where I'm currently living. But,
I can imagine.
But if you look at their possession stats, it's like, you know, I think it was less than 20% at one point during, I think, the first 20 minutes when it flashed up at the screen. I think they had like 11% possession.
Yeah.
But if you're the Morocco coach, you're not going to use that stat. The stat you're going to look at is maybe your entries to the box. You're probably going to look at your maybe where you've restricted Spain to shooting from, or the amount. So, for me, even though I do appreciate analysis, and I think the leaps and bounds football's come on, I think it's sensational. Looping back to that question, I think.
Go on, sorry.
Sorry, Reese.
I think it's always important with data, isn't it, that you use the context of the game that you're observing and you're aware of that, rather than just, as you've said, using data just to either be your bullet or your shield, because it's very easy to take stats out of context. So I think when you're watching the game, use your stats to back up your observations with an analysis, but don't use them in isolation, because then you can almost create a false picture of what you're trying to see.
100%. And I think coaches now are very good at doing that, painting that false picture. Again, this sounds like I'm hating on Roberto Martinez, but I'm not. I think he's
the poor guy.
No, I think he's done phenomenal. But you will see coaches that are going, we've had X amount of possession.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the conversations we've had when we've worked together is possession's great, but it's got to be possession with a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I'll be honest, when looking at games on the telly, I find it quite difficult for the analysis. And I think that's only because of the view the television gives you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
I think it gives you a very narrow focus, whereas I'm sure coaches that will be watching this, yourself, when you're physically at games, I tend to like to sit a little bit higher up in stands. Here at Tres Cantos, we have scaffolding, which is for the first team's video analysis. Home games, I tend to spend the first 20 minutes up there, just so I can get a bigger picture. And the reason I do that is what you might be looking for in your analysis might not be on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
It might, like you've just said, my focus might be on or around. So, for example, we had a friendly game on Tuesday, and the first 20 minutes I was looking at the distance between my back three and my defensive midfielder, because the past couple of weeks he's been creeping further and further back because the team aren't used to playing a back three. So he's almost overcompensating and becoming an extra centre half when I don't want him to. Yeah. So that vantage point, I probably spent a good chunk of that 20 minutes not really looking where the ball is.
Yeah.
I was more focused on him and his relationship and seeing, where are the elements he's pushing up? What are the triggers for him to drop back?
Yeah.
And then this week, what I have done is just on my iPhone. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I've got a beautiful VO camera or something like that. But for anyone starting out, a good vantage point in your iPhone will suffice. But now I've spent the rest of this week just doing little clips for him.
Okay.
And in my best Spanish, and with the help of a translation tool, I'll be giving him directions of kind of, I don't need you to drop, or when you see this trigger point, for example, with us playing three at the back, our fullback, our left-sided centre half was still in the thought process as the fullback, and out of possession he was pressing too high.
Okay.
And that kind of seemed to be a trigger for me. That's when he needs to go back and make a slot in, so we're not exposed. He wasn't doing that, certainly in that period of time, and the opposition got quite a bit of joy. They saw that gap and just played in over the fullback. So that's an area I would look at. So telly is quite difficult, but if you are looking at on and around the ball, it's fantastic. You can see little elements of the close support to the ball. My wife at the minute hates it because I am pausing the TV quite a lot, just to kind of see the picture of where's the support. Quite often, as many couch coaches do, you go in, oh, play that pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then they play an absolute opposite pass, and you're thinking, hang on, I didn't see that pass. So
Sorry, guys. Do you think there's always a danger with pausing the game and kind of then trying to analyze it within a still image, or are you better off kind of analyzing the 3 or 4 seconds either side of potentially the pass that you're talking about, so you can see the full picture as opposed to a still image and that you kind of then drawing lines on?
I think there's benefits of both. I think the still image, when you're talking to a player, allows you to really emphasize the decision-making process.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, for example, if I freeze frame just as the player's received the ball, got his head up looking for the pass, you can then annotate and go, the decision process is, can you play this pass in here? Are you looking at the body shape or the distances between the opposition's units? Did you recognize that? I think that in a freeze frame, when you're looking at maybe a purposeful action, such as pass selection, shot selection, I think is really good, because another kind of Gaz saying is, we're not really coaches, we're photographers.
Okay.
Or we're the guys that help players take pictures.
Yeah.
And we're in the dark room developing those pictures and creating a photo album for players. So in that moment, they can quickly scan through and go, I remember this picture. These are the options. Yeah. And I think if we're doing that, I think a still's fantastic. If you're looking at maybe how you want a player to receive, or a player's movement to exploit space to receive a ball or to take a shot, I think certainly looking the 3 seconds before and the 3 seconds after are critical. I think those, what I would call those fluid movements, players need to recognize can't be in isolation, because it's not almost a closed skill. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So again, for example, a player breaking a line, they might not get it in the first phase. They might not get it in the second phase, but they'll get it in the third phase. And you have to give them those 3 seconds, 4 seconds to kind of say, okay, if you've made your initial run in the first phase and not got it, what do you do next?
Yeah.
And that those fluid parts in the game, I think, need fluid analysis with video.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were to, would you focus on a specific phase within your analysis? Would you break it down and potentially focus on in possession, then out of possession, and then transition? Or would you try and do them all together if you were watching your team?
If you can do it all together, you are an absolute legend. An absolute legend. I can't. Like, there'll be some people out there that can. I can't. Yeah. I need to put it in, like you say, break it down into those phases: in possession, out of possession, the transition, and which one I spend more focus on is probably where I'm at in my training cycle, or from previous analysis of games, where we need the most work.
Okay.
So I think focusing on which ones really depends on where you are at in your cycle.
Yeah.
Or if you're at the higher level where 3 points is the difference of being able to pay the mortgage or not pay the mortgage, that's when you might need to start looking specifically. We're losing games because we're not quicker in the transition. Then you need to do a lot of work in analysing your transition from attack to defence, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think for coaches starting out, or certainly coaches, dare I say it, coaches at a academy level, I tend to, certainly now in Spain, because for me the language is a barrier still.
Okay.
I tend to, at this level, to really hone in on, can I use it to improve individuals?
Okay.
My career path, and certainly I hope I don't get called out in the comments for this, but I think every, even up to under 23s, every academy coach, you are judged on how well you develop players.
Yeah.
Not how well you develop a team, not how well your results do. Look, that's fantastic. I've been in some situations where the team hasn't done well, but 3 or 4 players have gone on to England ID camps or England under 17 camps.
Yeah.
That for me is success. That's what my job is as an academy coach. So my video analysis is certainly around, okay, it might be, you look at your box-to-box midfielder in transition, clip that for them, if that's a point they need to work better on. You might then work with your centre forward, and it might be their movement in and around the box. Do clips on that, because that will be beneficial for them. And then it's kind of like, for me, it's like, then it's a jigsaw. So if you do your initial positional, individual analysis, that's one piece. But actually, that, if I'm working with my centre forward, that works with my 2 wide forwards. It might actually work with 1 or 2 of my midfielders, depending on my formation. And that's then maybe you start doing a bit of unit analysis.
Yeah, so you kind of build up the process in kind of a logical order. So you start with a very specific focus, and then you might broaden that then to impact more players who might support the player that you're analysing or the unit that you're analysing.
Exactly. That's just my thought process on it, and that's where I'm at currently in my coaching journey, that I want to improve the individual.
Yeah.
And I know, look, we've all seen these documentaries like on Arsenal, Man City, even going to like All Blacks or the basketball ones. I know the pro clubs do individual packages for the players. I also know the pro clubs do the wider team thing. But that's because the manager's job depends on the result they get at a weekend. My job doesn't. My job depends on how many players I get to the next level.
Yeah.
So that's where my analysis is currently at. If I become a first team manager or assistant manager in the future, would that shift my focus on analysis? Probably.
Yeah.
But I would still, because it's within my DNA as a coach, I would still be doing the individual stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there would probably be a bigger shift to, we need the team to perform. The team needs to be better at this.
Okay, super. So I think to sort of wrap the video up, if you were to say your top 3 tips for beginner analysis or coaches who are taking that step into analysis, what would they be?
Right, top 3.
No pressure.
just go on. First and foremost, I know this sounds really daft. Get on platforms like yourself, get on other coaches' platforms on YouTube, see what they're producing. Now, it's like anything. Don't go and copy it. Yeah. Don't go, they're looking at inverted fullbacks, so I'm going to start looking at inverted fullbacks. Look at the process.
Yeah.
Look at the content they're creating. Most most of them, what they're creating will be specific on a phase of the game. It might be a position.
Yeah.
Have a look at what they're producing. The caveat of that is don't be scared that they've got beautiful lines. They've got things that highlight and circle and flash and got all the bells and whistle. There's nothing wrong with a good old pen and paper. I love a little bit of pen and paper. I love a little whiteboard. As long as you're educating yourself of things to look out for.
Yeah.
I think that's the first and foremost. Go and do some research. Go and get things right. Go and get things wrong. See things you like. See things you don't. Then build up. Number 2, start small.
Okay.
Like I've said to yourself there. There are times I'll look bigger picture. Most of the times I'm looking on an individual level. Tweak that first. I've always found, and one of my greatest strengths as a coach is my ability to connect with a player.
Okay.
And help that player evolve and get better. Now, by doing that, you need to take a real interest, really understand the position that player does, understand their strengths and weaknesses. So really kind of honing in your analysis on just one target. It might be a player. I would recommend start doing it just on individual players first.
Okay.
Because once you can build that bank of high quality, individualized information, when it comes to your unit stuff, I think it's easier.
Yeah.
Because you're just pairing information with information.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's all high quality. You're not going, if he does that, it's when he gets the ball, you do this, and this is the outcome.
Yeah.
I've found, certainly with the players that have gone to play internationally and at a high level I've coached, they don't really want the option A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah.
They want, give me option A, give me the best option.
Yeah.
But if option A is off, give me option B. But it has to be high quality, really high quality. So I would start there and just build and build and build and build. And the third one, this might be out of the box. Watch other sports. Football's an invasion game. Watch any other invasion game. Have a look at what they do in transitions. Have a look at little tweaks they do. I mean, it's some of the stuff certainly I found myself watching a lot more basketball, a lot more American football, because that's really kind of tactical. So the level of analysis
is huge.
It's ridiculous. It's honestly ridiculous. And I think sometimes we're getting better, but football coaches are very, very narrow-minded. It's football.
Yeah,
it might be football from Spain. It might be football from Morocco. Do you know what I mean? Whoever's. I can guarantee you, whoever wins this World Cup, people will start looking at French, Brazilian, different coaches.
Do you not want to throw England into the mix?
I don't want to tempt fate, but I do fancy us, to be honest. I really do. I think we're up against one of the hardest teams. I think Spain's strength and depth, not Spain, sorry, France's strength and depth is phenomenal. A lot of people are putting emphasis on Mbappe.
Yeah.
I think the back four is very strong. They've got an experienced keeper. Olivier Giroud, he's a beautiful man, outrageously beautiful, but you've replaced
the radar of it, doesn't it?
Oh, mate, you've replaced the Ballon d'Or winner with a serial goal scorer. Yeah. Serial goal scorer, like Arsenal, France. he's what he's now at AC Milan, and he's banging goals, and he's a talent. So I think I'm quietly confident. But like I say, going back to point 3, just look at loads of different things. If I may, one thing of my personal interest at the minute, certainly this season, has been looking at the analysis of set pieces.
Yeah, I've seen your stuff on Twitter.
Yeah, those who are following me on Twitter.
I will leave Gaz's Twitter below, so if you do want to follow him and see sort of some of his insights over there, it will be below.
But I've struck up a kind of bromance with Creative Set Plays, the Twitter handle. Some of the stuff they do is ridiculous, and my feed at the minute is just, I see loads of creative set plays, and I send it on to them going, get these animated, guys, because your skills are fantastic. But that's a focus for me in my coaching journey of maximizing it. And if we start looking at certainly high level, top tier games now are won and lost in those moments. But this is a focus for no disrespect for anyone watching. This is a focus for a coach who's got 14 years under the belt, and this is just an interest of mine. I want to maximize set pieces. I think they're at the highest level. Few and far between. I think, was it last season United scored once after over 100 set plays, and I'm thinking that's outrageous. That's a shocking percentage of converting your set plays. But enough about my interest in set plays. I could be here all day. But honestly, check. And I'm just gonna throw them in there, and it's not a paid one anyway. But creative set plays at the minute are smashing out some great analysis on set plays. I really like them.
Super. So I think sort of your takeaway messages there, guys, are kind of recognize where you are within your analysis journey, whether you're at a position where you can analyze games quickly, or whether you need to take a slower process and kind of break the game down. Initially, you can start really small within a single phase or player or unit, and then build those layers up as you progress through within your analysis journey. So
100%. Yeah, know what you want, go for it. Even if you're analysing one thing, just do that really well. Don't try and do too many. So recognise, define what an entry in the box looks like. Define what a regain looks like.
It's a very individual process, isn't it? Whether it's sort of coaching or analysis, it's down to what works for you, kind of thing, and what process you need to take with your analysis. So
100%. I mean, me and you could watch a game together, and we have done in the past.
Yeah,
we've coached together on the sideline, and what you've seen is different to me.
Yeah,
and it's like you say, it depends on what your focus is, what you define. What do you define as an entry into the box? I mean, that's quite specific.
Yeah. But we get the general idea.
What do you define as a turnover?
Yeah.
Is it you win the ball and maintain it, or do you just break up play?
Yeah.
It depends. It depends what you want, or you want that player to do.
It's an incredibly individual process, isn't it? And I think, especially when you sort of first make those steps within analysis, it's very easy to look at someone else's analysis and assume that that's what it needs to look like and that's what you need to do. But the reality of it is it's your choice. You can take your analysis however you want to take it, as long as you're getting the detail that you need individually, or your players that you're working with are getting that kind of information.
Yeah. And I think you've just nailed it on the head there. Really it's the information you can deliver. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You need to make the process unique to you, so you understand it. And I keep going back to it. You can deliver high quality feedback or high quality outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're copying someone else's, and it's a bit like when you watch Real Madrid's first team doing a drill. on YouTube, and you're going, I'm going to steal that bad boy because that looks unreal when, you know, Benzema does an overhead kick. I tell you what, if you've got a Benzema in your grassroots club, well, hats off to you, sir. But what you do is you look at that, you try and digest the information of what they're looking at, and then you go, right, how do I deliver that to the best of my ability? And it's the same with analysis. You know, as long as you're, again, coming out with high quality information, you can confidently deliver, and your players can confidently understand. There's no right or wrong.
No, absolutely. Well, I think we'll sort of wrap it up there. Gaz, thank you very much for joining me today. I do hope you guys have found the video useful and you've found Gaz's insight on analysis and sort of his process as a coach really helpful. As I've mentioned, I will leave Gaz's Twitter in the link, Twitter in the description below. So if you do want to check him out and check out some of the stuff he's doing over there, it's really great stuff and it's a really great tool to learn from. He's an incredibly knowledgeable coach. So I will leave his link below. As always, thank you very much for watching. I do hope you found the video useful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I've been Coach Reese and Coach Gaz. Have a great day.